Hi, everyone. Ed Bixby here from the Global Green Burial Alliance, and this is Spotlight Now. Today, I sit here with Matt Connell, who is the co-owner of Loving Earth Memorial Gardens, a green burial preserve in Barnum, Minnesota. Matt has acquired vast knowledge and understanding of the regulatory process while developing Loving Earth. Prior to becoming cemeterian, Matt worked in marketing and advertising. So welcome, Matt.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. So to the viewers, so everyone knows, Matt and I have a close and personal relationship. We are business partners with this particular property, and I wanted to afford Matt the opportunity to talk about all the great things that there are to come for the residents of Barnum and Minnesota. So why don't we get started and learn a little more about what inspired you to enter the natural burial world, Matt, and create Loving Earth Memorial Gardens?
Well, for me, I think it's a pretty common story. I was stuck in a cubicle and just hated it. There's no amount of pay that would have made it worthwhile for me. I just felt like I was wasting my time. And yeah, I spent a lot of time watching YouTube. And one day I came across an Ed Bixby Steelmantown church video. And I thought immediately, I was like, oh my God, that guy's got it figured out. What an awesome life. I was immediately kind of envious. Like, man, there's people out there that are doing stuff like that. And I was thinking about that on my drives home. And all of a sudden it hit me one day. Why can't I do that? I can do that. I'm not just going to sit here and curl up and die. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do something. And then I felt compelled to call you. And next thing you know, we're buddies and you're helping me through this whole process. And, at that time, we didn't know what we were stepping into. It just seemed like a really, just kind of a neat thing to expand green burial to Minnesota. We can do this together. We'll work our way through it. And it was difficult at first, but we didn't know, what we were in for. And it turns out, we're doing something a lot bigger than just putting in a small green cemetery out in the country. It's evolved into kind of a movement. And I think what we're doing out there has become really important for the movement nationwide.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if the viewers don't already know, we've had a little bit of trouble. We did purchase a property that was legally zoned for what we were trying to do, but we ran into a little bit of opposition. But the good news is that that should be coming to an end soon. And for our viewers, if you could paint a picture of the space, if a family were to come to Loving Earth, what would they expect to see, Matt?
I think right now what they would expect to see is a blank canvas full of opportunity. What was a field, a farmer's field. They grew potatoes, they raised hay there, right up alongside a beautiful little wetland. They would see a blank canvas that will, in 5 years' time, be completely unrecognizable. It's going to be filled with wildflowers. We've planted hundreds of trees. It's going to be just an absolute sanctuary there. It's a little bit out in the country, and it's surrounded by protected land in the Blackhoof Wildlife Management Area. Which is a huge, natural area. Now we butt up against it. Well, almost exactly up against it, but close enough. But it's a place where essentially we're putting in an arboretum, and it's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be something that just blooms immediately. It's something that's going to take a lot of time, but that's something that I think we're both aware of and both willing to do.
Absolutely. And so the viewer, in their mind's eye, so they understand, essentially it's a fallow farm field that is being given back to nature. And, in these scenarios, the most exciting time is probably the first 5 to 10 years, because you can see that transformation. And, it's really meant for the living to come out and recreate and enjoy it. And then the final statement in one's life and how they chose to live that life. So Matt has done a wonderful job. I mean, Matt is, he's very dedicated to making this happen. We did mention that there have been some trials and travails, and we hope that we can come to a resolution that not only makes a point, but also opens the door for others, so that they no longer have to face any opposition, because unfortunately in life sometimes people only fear the unknown. And if you
Oh
don't
yeah.
understand, or you're not educated, or there's no transparency in the message, maybe you don't understand what we're doing, but what we're doing is no different than what's been done from the dawn of time. Natural burial is natural.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Mhm.
and so, Matt, with all that being said, you know, what is the current status of Loving Earth Memorial Gardens concerning its opening? I mean, we know there had been a few hurdles. What do we hope to see, in the coming months?
Well, the one thing that was required of us in Carleton County was to have the land surveyed and to for the county to record our survey plat. They have not done that. They've not recorded our plats, which has prevented us from being able to legally open and to start serving the community. What I would like to see in the next few months is for them to have recorded our plat and for us to begin immediately serving the community, because we get calls all the time. And these are people that know our situation. They understand that we're dealing with, these political, cultural issues. Yet they are still compelled to call us and ask, what's the status of this? This is something that I want. This is something that I want. My dad liked what you were doing and he passed away and wants to be buried there. I don't want to have to turn those people away anymore. It's a heartbreaking thing, say, I'm sorry, but because of the county's actions, I can't help you. I have to explain things to, and people have been very understanding, but it's something that keeps me awake at night, and it doesn't sit right with me. So I'd like to have that come to an end. But I think the thing that this has exposed is that it's not an environmental issue. It's not a zoning issue or anything like that. At its core, it's a cultural issue. And I think that, we've been conditioned as Americans to just assume a lot of things about the death care process. We don't really know what it entails, but we have a lot of, assumptions and a lot of ideas as to what that means and who should be running it and how it should be run and what needs to happen. And really, it's just, there's there's nothing holding us to that type of system, really. It's something that, I hate to say, but a lot of times it's profit based. And I think that um, going back to nature, going back to the way our ancestors did it is kind of a cultural shock to people. It's been 150 years where we've been doing it this one way, the conventional way. It's like steering a battleship. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. And so what we're doing is part of the work. It's as much a part of the work as digging the grave, picking up a shovel and, sweating out in the field. It's just something that needs to be done. And like you said before, we're creating a template for other people to come along and say, I can use what these guys experienced as a roadmap to expand the death care or the green burial movement all over the place. And the fact is that a lot of these places are going to have to go into rural areas where maybe, they're going to have similar cultural issues. And, that's where the land is available. That's where land is cheapest. And that's where the zoning allows for it. However, it's a lot easier said than done, as we have found out, but we're powering through. We are definitely powering through.
Oh, absolutely. So, just so the viewers know, it's not a matter of if, it's just when. I mean, you know, uh, we live in a world of many different religions, cultures, uh, But at the end of the day, we all share the same thing, and in life, there's always death, and that really is that's not something that divides us. It's kind of something that brings us together. Uh, if you experience this in a way that you not only respect people's religious beliefs, but you respect the fact that they care for their loved ones and nature the way we do, it's easy to see how wonderful it all works together and how it's a happy place. And I'd like all the viewers to please, I encourage anyone who lives in Minnesota, it's a very large state, obviously, but anyone who can go visit Loving Earth, feel free to visit and walk the trails, experience what's going to be, because it will be very, very soon. And that's the idea, is to recreate, to walk the trails, to ponder, to appreciate nature. So, again, it's maybe we're not burying people right today in this moment, but certainly you can go visit and understand what is going to be. So, with that being said, Matt, I mean, obviously you have a passion and you share a passion with many others that share the same desire as yourself. So, where would you like to envision Loving Earth, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, I first and foremost, I would like for those who are opposed to Loving Earth to see that their fears were unfounded and that it's actually something really beautiful to be embraced and to welcome in. And that's what I would like to see. I would like to see a community that comes together. Like you said, no matter what, your religious beliefs are, we're all one under one God, and we all share grief and pain as a human family under a single God. And that's what I want people to see. I want people to know that they have a place to come and gather to pray, to meditate, and to come together as a community. I want music out there. I want, wine tastings. I want people to see it as not just a graveyard, in the Scooby-Doo sense, the Hollywood sense. I want them to see garden, a beautiful paradise garden. And you can see it if you drive through the countryside and that stretch of Minnesota, you'll see other fallow fields. And you'll see that over time, 5, 10 years, they erupt with wildflowers. They are full of flowers, they're full of little pine trees everywhere. And in 10 years, they're back to forests almost. And what we're doing is we're speeding that process along. We are planting huge amounts of flowers. We're planting huge amounts of trees. So hopefully for us in 10 years, it's going to be, even brighter and more vivid than we could have imagined. But I want it to be a place that people come back to when they bury their loved one. I want them to come back and visit and to, make a new type of tradition around death care. Like, hey, the blueberries that we planted on top of Grandpa's grave are in season every June. Let's go. Let's go pick them. We'll come back. We'll say hi to Grandpa, and we'll pick the berries. He would have loved that. And I think a lot of people want that. I think a lot of people are going to see this and see, instead of a headstone, they're going to see a blueberry bush at their friend's funeral, and they're going to say, "That's what I want. That's what I want." I agree with the way these people see the world. I agree with how they see everybody as a community under God, and I want to join them. You know, we're not just out there digging holes. We're not just out there. We're creating an eternal resting place for human beings, as well as a gathering place for the living. So I have big visions for what we're about to do, and I know you do too.
No, absolutely. That's a lovely vision and wonderful sentiments, Matt. And, for the viewers to understand that what we're creating, throughout the country at all of these types of projects are lasting memories, memories that bring people back to a place, uh, and they feel good about a life that was lived, and they enjoy these facilities with their families while they're living, and then they can reflect on the past and on all the good times. And that's what's most important. All storms give way to sunny skies, and at the end of the day, this place will be open and welcome to all, to every individual. Even if someone had originally opposed the notion, they will be welcome because that's the way it should be. And, I'm pleased to be able to have Matt come today and speak about this very special project because it's certainly a feather in the cap of people who live in Minnesota. It will be enjoyed. It will be something special. And very soon, and we here at the Global Green Burial Alliance, anyone out there creating spaces like this who may be looking at what's going on with Loving Earth at the moment, if they have any questions or concerns, or if they feel as if they need some wind beneath their wings, always reach out to us. We will help you through this process because at the end of the day, it is worth the fight, and it certainly will be something very beneficial and special, not only to the environment and the community. So, with all that being said, Matt, is there any parting words you'd like to have for the viewers?
Yeah, I think that, now that I've had a second to let it soak in, you asked me what I envision for 10 years from now. And I one of the brightest visions that I have for 10 years from now is to have, like you said, have our opponents who are against us now to come to Loving Earth as friends someday, as neighbors to be embraced and not enemies to be fought. And I want them to come there. I want them to pray for the dead and pray for the living right beside me. And that's what I hope to have happen. And I think that it will. I think that it will. Because we're not leaving. We're not going anywhere. And
Uh,
that's a fact. We can't. We can't.
no,
No,
absolutely.
we're on an important mission.
Absolutely, and it will stand forever. For once this place is a an official burial ground, it will be a burial ground for the rest of eternity.
Yep.
So that's the most important part of the conversation. So it's been a pleasure, Matt, of course, to introduce you to the Global Green Burial Alliance community. Anyone, if you have any questions or comments, certainly reach out to us, and we will keep you posted as to things that occur in the very near future. And we look forward to announcing the day that we open. So thanks, Matt. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, this is definitely going to be an ongoing story.
Yes, and if you haven't taken the pledge, please take the pledge and support the cause. All right, Ed Bixby, and I'll see you at the next Spotlight Now.